And I'm Nicole.
And welcome to Shut Up and Love Your Neighbor podcast. Hopefully you have a chance to follow us on Instagram. It's the Dave. And if you have any feedback, comments, or complaints, you can hit us up at the Dave at shutupandloveyourneighbor.com. How about that?
Amazing. Your own website?
It is amazing. I wouldn't call it a website for sure, but it's a landing page.
Great.
I'll at least give you that. So welcome, Nicole.
Thank you.
And everybody, Nicole is our friend. We've known each other for, 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Yep.
And Nicole is kind of OG Shut Up and Love Your Neighbor, right? She was doing it when it wasn't cool. You probably don't know this, but Barbara Mandrell used to sing a song, I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool. Do you even know that?
I don't think I know that song.
No, most people listening won't know it either, unless they're
home,
over 60.
Maybe today.
Yeah, you should look it up. But you were Shut Up and Love Your Neighbor when it wasn't cool. You've been doing this lifestyle for a long time, true?
We have. Yes, we have. Yep.
All right. And we can get into that. But before we do, the first thing that we always like to do is to present you with a gift.
Yes.
That's right. Who doesn't like a white box?
I mean,
right?
It's almost like a white elephant.
I don't want you...
It's a box.
I don't want you to open it here because it's got a lot of packaging and everything in there. But it is this lovely mug that has been made exclusive for our guests on the podcast.
Amazing.
Right? So you can drink your coffee and always have that reminder.
I can't wait. I'm got an OG mug for an OG lifestyle. I'm here for it.
That's what I like. You are the OG. So I'm going to pour myself a little bit of the brown water. I've got you some fresh filtered water in your regular coffee cup, if you will.
I love it.
And I'm going to start with an update, if that's cool.
Can't wait to hear it.
All right. So I think you knew producer Candy and I went to Paris a week or two ago. I kind of lost track, but and had an amazing trip. Visited with our niece. We saw all the sights. We ate great food, great cocktails. It was a great experience. But we had a little bit of a rough start.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. And basically, you fly overnight, of course, anytime you go to Europe, and then you got to power through the day so you can adjust. And so we did that and ended up going to sleep that first night at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
We got
Paris time.
All right. We got back from dinner. And no lie, I don't know that I was in the room 30 seconds before I was in bed and out.
Yep.
I was so tired. So that was 9 o'clock. And at 12:47 a.m., and I don't know if there are certain sounds or things in the night that particularly wake you up. I know back in the day for me, the sound of one of our cats about to vomit, that would wake you up out of a dead sleep.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how deep you are, you're up.
Yep.
You know that sound. So there are certain sounds that wake you up. And at 12:47 a.m. in our hotel room in Paris, I heard the sound of our door opening. Yeah.
That would jump out of bed for me or under the covers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one. Or when you're so tired, you don't know if you're hearing it correctly.
Right. I've always wondered how I would respond to that kind of scenario, and now I know.
Okay, how'd you respond?
I looked up immediately, and I saw 2 people moving into our room across the threshold of the door. I threw the covers off. I screamed really deep and really loud.
Okay.
Hey! And then I hopped out of bed and started moving towards the door. Now, all of that probably took 2.5 seconds.
Yes.
Right? But as I'm moving towards the door, everything kind of comes into focus finally. And it's 2 young women backing out, saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They looked scared out of their minds as well. So I realized, okay, they're not a threat.
Yeah.
They are as frightened as I am in this moment. So I shut the door. I didn't make niceties or anything.
Right,
I needed to make safety first.
Absolutely.
So
Give your wife to protect.
Exactly. I shut the door And if producer Candy was here, she is absent, unfortunately, this episode. But if she was here, she would verify that she kind of came around from her side of the bed and was like, "I got my glasses on now. I'm here to help." Because her
Candy, I don't know if that's true, and I'm not going to confirm or deny.
You can fact check it with her.
I'm going to fact check.
You can fact check. Her vision is really bad. Okay. So when she takes her contacts out, she needs her little glasses on when we go to bed at night and when she wakes up in the morning, or she really cannot see.
Okay.
And so, she was frightened by all of the chaos as well. So it took her a minute to get her glasses on and so on and so forth. Once she got them on, I had shut the door. She came over and, was like, "Oh, your security team's here for the rescue." No, she didn't say that part. I made that part up. That would have
been amazing.
But I said, "Hey, we've got to go downstairs." And so we did. And, I was pretty clear about my displeasure.
I mean, did you see the people that entered your room in the
lobby? They were down
also?
there as well.
I'm sure they were.
It was a very boutique hotel with a small desk. It was literally a desk. Yes. One gentleman.
Yeah.
So everybody, it's one of those scenarios where everybody is kind of mortified.
Yeah.
It was nothing malicious. And all of that. And so the way that they remedied the scenario, though, they did offer us a bottle of water.
Wow.
That's right. That's
in
right.
Paris?
I happened to be.
It wasn't wine or baguettes or croissants?
Or a free room night.
Yeah.
No.
Nope. Okay.
No, it was a bottle of water. And I happened to be very thirsty at the time. So I said, actually, I will take a bottle of water. And Candy was kind of like, "What?" So, yeah, the gentleman that night, he kind of thought it was another guy's fault. And then when we came down in the morning, they thought it was the other guy's fault. And so we just kind of decided to move on with the rest of our stay. And but I will tell you, that kind of incident will get your blood flowing.
Yeah.
It will get your blood flowing, a little bit of adrenaline rush, and it might cause you to buy one or two safety items that you travel with from that point forward. I'm just saying, I've got a couple of things to make sure that the door cannot be opened by other people.
You're going to need to enlighten me because I travel all the time.
I mean, I'll tell you,
I don't travel
up
with these.
Yeah, and you should, right? Yeah. Especially both of us travel a lot. I think females need to be especially mindful of their security. And one of them is a doorstop that you simply set, just up against the door. And if that door opens, it depresses and a very loud alarm goes off.
Okay.
So that's one. Then the other is something that you basically close the door with this piece of metal right there in the latch.
Okay.
So it will close and the metal is kind of sitting there. And then you put this other piece sort of perpendicular.
Okay.
And it locks and it's kind of attached to the actual door mechanism, the latch. So you can't actually open the door.
Okay.
Now, I will say, Nicole, my concern about this is if you remember Bob Saget's story, he was found in a hotel room.
Yes.
So I don't know how they're getting in if anything happens to me in the hotel room, but nobody's getting in as far as safety.
Okay.
So you kind of have to weigh it all out, whether or not you want to, but maybe you just use the extra alarm or whatever. But there's lots of different things you can think about. I'm just saying it was unnerving that somebody else could put a key in a door and get into our room.
Yes, that is very unnerving.
Even with the double lock. Like it just opened right up. So,
wow.
How about that for an update?
I mean, did you go back to sleep after that?
Not right away.
Yeah.
We tossed and turned. Well, we didn't even toss and turn. We sat up for about a half an hour and then decided I was going to take a little melatonin.
Yeah.
And that helped. I did get back to sleep. And slept in, actually.
Okay.
And the rest of the Paris trip was absolutely off the charts.
Amazing.
It was phenomenal. So let me just ask off the cuff, do you have any horrible travel stories?
The only one I can think of is we were staying in an Airbnb and so it was a condo scenario.
Yeah.
and we heard the door, like someone trying to put in the code. It was all codes because it wasn't at a hotel.
Yep. But somebody's out there.
Yeah. We were in an apartment. And so the bedroom was kind of in the back. And so I'm waking up. We have kids. And so, you wake up at the noise of throw up, someone getting out of their bed, or a door being opened.
Yep.
And we're preteen. So the door being open is going to come in super handy, in teenage years.
Yep.
I hope it doesn't. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But so I'm waking up Zach saying, hey, someone's opening the door. And so he jumps up right away. And we didn't have the gate lock, like the metal chain, the chain lock on the door. And so he did that and they heard it. And then we saw him at the pool the next day and they were like, I'm so sorry. We gotten late. Weren't feeling well. We thought we were at our door. Sorry we did that to you. But it was that same thing of you're in a strange place. It's the first night.
Right.
And you're confused on where you are when you wake up. And the whole scenario really can just honestly trigger you in a different way.
No, 100%.
Send you into all those spirals of what if that are not necessary.
Exactly.
Because both scenarios were not that scenario.
Yep. And we know of folks that have had past military experiences, might be triggered, it's pretty unnerving. Yeah. But that scenario, like mine, it's like people are not trying to, you know what I mean? It was an accident.
Yeah, it was an accident.
And we very much appreciated that. So cool. Awesome. Let's talk about what Shut Up and Love Your Neighbor has looked like for you 10 years before Shut Up and Love Your Neighbor came along.
Yeah, let's do it. So listen, you know this about me. I played college basketball. And so I've always been a believer in community that you just really can't do it alone. There's no way. And so then fast forward that between moves of when I was a kid to, going to college and learning to survive on my own to getting married, I just realized that community, we needed it. My parents opened their doors to people all the time for dinners. Friends' parents let me in. I mean, I still remember my best friend at the time in elementary school. My mom worked and her mom made me breakfast every morning.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't planned. It was just, I went over to her house and she's like, hey, Nicole, do you need breakfast? And it's been one of these that I've sent her thank you through the years that really was touching to me and showed me the importance of always having enough food, always having enough, not in plentiful and knowing that whatever you have will be the right thing, but that being prepared to receive people was a gift on the receiving end.
Right.
And I kind of took that with me I always wanted to be prepared to receive people in our home or to be there for people. And what did that look like? It didn't look big and ostentatious. It looked like, honestly, a Taylor ham and cheese egg sandwich when I was in elementary school.
So, wow. All right. So that's cool. I've not heard you characterize it that way. So I have a question.
Sure.
So being prepared to receive people into your home, how has that unfolded?
Yeah, so every home that we have lived in, we entered the home viewing it, whether renting or buying, with how many people can we fit at a table?
Okay.
How many people?
Wow.
And if in our current home, it wasn't a ton. We had like a half wall there.
Okay.
And so it was, how quickly can we tear down the half wall?
Oh, wow.
So that we could just make the pivots. Do we have a back patio we could sit on or a back porch or... and so we've been intentional. I've been married almost 19 years next month.
For real?
I know. Where's the time gone?
Oh my gosh, 19. You guys look like you're in your 30s.
I know. Thank you.
Wow.
We're not, but thank you. And so we've just have been like-minded. It's helpful to have a like-minded person, teammate in my life, which is my husband. And so his mom was the same way, like always opened her home too. So we've just always gone into the spaces that we live, not with this needs to be a dream home, because I don't even know if that really exists, even though that's the language we use in America of like my dream home. We've never had that vision. It was what home can be used for our kids' spaces, what home can be used for our neighbors or our friends, what homes could be used for my parents to live with us in the summer, what home could be used if someone's just passing through and they need a place to stay. Like, can we house people? And that's really been our focus for the last 19 years.
Yeah. We, not quite, I'm trying to think, not quite as granular as that, but one of our big discussions moving from our condo years back, like 10 years ago, when we moved into this home, was very much around how could we use it? Yeah. What spaces are there? You know, how can we get other people in here? Kind of that. And we had the unique experience of everybody on our street moved in at the same time because it was new construction.
Yeah.
I mean, generally within like 3 months of each other. And so we had these grand visions of, you know, how it was going to be along the lines of what you're talking about.
Yep.
And I'll save, I don't know if I've gone into that before or not, but I'll go into it eventually. But so I can relate to that is my point. Kind of going in and having a mindset of what you're looking for. So your current home, have you had, like when you talk about, you know, again, being prepared to receive people into our home, like when you moved into the neighborhood, what was that like? How has it evolved in your current neighborhood?
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
Yeah, so our current neighborhood that we moved into because of friends. We took a couple-year hiatus in Germany.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so when we moved back, we sold that house and bought a house in the same neighborhood, sight unseen, FaceTime.
Wow, yeah.
And so a friend walked through it on FaceTime, and we put in an offer. It was back when homes weren't as competitive,
right?
Not what the current climate is right now. So, it was the home next to our friends, the original people we moved in the neighborhood for, literally next door. So we called them up and we're like, we really like you and you probably really like us, but like next door is next door. Like, do we really want to be in that proximity?
Right.
That's very close.
Right.
You know, you're sitting on we live in, you know, their house is right there. It's a single family home, but their house is right there. And so when we're on our porch, they can hear us, see us, wave to us, you know, all the things. And so they're like, yeah, this is great. So we moved into that home to be able to have my parents stay in the basement. It's on a angle, and so it's a walkout basement, and they can have some more autonomy when they come versus, you know, having to use the same stairwell and everything and see us every moment of every day in the summer.
That would be
yeah,
right.
They wouldn't want it,
right?
Like they, you know, I've got
little privacy here,
exactly.
Please.
I've got excitable kids,
right?
And so when we moved, so we already had a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is key. Like when we now give advice to where people should move, it's like, go where your people are. And we live in an area in Northern Virginia where it's like, well, I want more land and I want more space and I want more freedom. And it also comes with a loss of community. It comes with a loss of that neighborly touch. And so in all of our experience, we have now said it's not necessarily about the dream home, especially when you're in the child rearing years.
Right.
And you need community in different ways. It's really about where are your people and go there, go close.
Right.
Because the being able to walk, the being able to pass dishes, I need a cup of sugar. Like I don't have to drive in the car to go do that. And once you make that boundary of you have to drive to go see someone, you just don't see them as much.
Right.
Like it's just the reality. We don't get to see each other as much.
We don't live far away from one another and don't see each other unless it's on purpose.
Exactly. It's maybe 8 to 10 miles we live.
Right.
And I've never been here before.
Right.
So it's lovely, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's just been key for us and what's really cool, and I haven't filled you in on this, we have friends moving to the street.
To your current street?
To our current
From where?
Street. They're in the neighborhood and relocating to our current street.
So they are only, like, they're not even moving a mile away.
No, they're just like, I told them, you know, moving on up to the east side because we're up the little hill. I'm well, it's west.
But
so
are
I'm
they
like,
doing that solely because they want to be a part of that community?
Partly that. They're doing that because it's a single family home, but also because they want space to host.
Right.
And they don't currently have that.
Man.
And so it's like a couple doors down. And so we're so pumped up that that's going to happen and change alley parties and all the things that just make the difference when you really unite your lives together and committed to just showing up for people. And how do you show up well? So I think proximity is everything. And we've learned that the hard way along the way, for sure.
So, I mean, it sounds like you've had a pretty successful run, but I know at some point over the last 10 years, let's say, there has to have been something that maybe didn't go as expected. Any any hiccups, any bumps in the road at trying to love neighbors, or anything that you were trying to do that didn't go the way that you thought? And it's okay if the answer is no.
I think it just takes time. I think it takes getting over the hiccups of you're going to be the one to invite, you're going to be the one to initiate. That doesn't mean that other people don't care. It just means that that's not their gifting, or they're underwater and they can't figure it out, or they've never had community modeled and they don't know that there's a different way. And we've been told that. They're like, wow, we've had friends that are like, this is the first community, like being in community with you is the first time we've ever done this. We just are kind of lone wolves and have always done this ourselves.
And so let me piggyback on that.
Yeah.
So on one side of the coin, if you've been doing this for a long time, or if you're just naturally wired this way, it feels very comfortable. It feels like, of course, why wouldn't everybody do this?
It does,
right? The world would be perfect if everyone would do what I'm doing,
you get frustrated, other people don't.
Right.
In all transparency.
But then the flip side of that coin is not everybody is wired the same.
Yeah.
If they've never experienced it, they don't even know. There's no model to follow. And I actually, so we have great relationships with everybody on our street. I shouldn't say everybody. We have great relationships with most of the neighbors on our street. And one in particular has helped us numerous times with, doing stuff to the house while we're gone, or getting the mail, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so the other night, I'm just going to say it because he probably will listen, and I'm going to say it anyway. I was in bed.
Okay.
It was 8:15 p.m.
Sounds like our house.
Right? 8:15 p.m. I was in bed, and he texts that he and his wife were at Walmart. They were celebrating something, so he was allowed to buy a large TV. Didn't fit in their vehicle. And, Candy's first response was, he does so much for us. You need to get out of bed and go help them. So, of course, and she didn't have to convince me, of course. So we went and did that, and it worked out great. But the drive from getting the TV, he and I were in the car together, and he was pointing that same thing out. Now, he's told me this before, but we were catching up, and I was saying, we might be moving next year out of state, et cetera, et cetera. And he responded to that with, man, really happy for you guys, but, such a loss for us. We're totally going to miss you. We've never experienced neighboring or whatever. He didn't say neighboring, but living life like on our street until you guys reached out, until you guys started the potlucks or whatever. And and I was like, well, now it's up to you guys to continue, and you've seen it modeled. Go do the same thing, connect with people, and so on and so forth. So to your point, there is a lot out there as far as people who haven't seen it, have never had the gift of benefiting from it, etc. But it's not always just, when we talk about, loving your neighbor or who is your neighbor, it's not always the person right next door or even on your street. So we both travel. Mm-hmm. You are a facilitator for a living, right? A lead trainer. And so that takes you on the road.
Yes.
Have you had any experiences as you're traveling out and about throughout the country of interacting with people where you don't have 4 years to build a relationship? Yes. You have a 4-minute interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that like?
Yeah. So I think the key to any of this is looking up and looking out. And so in our daily life, we're just busy looking in, really. Like, what's our to-do list? What's the next task we need to do? We operate in a model that's not a lot of bandwidth, not a lot of extra time. We use this word time. We never have enough time. And so I have found that living in community, not necessarily about just the people in proximity, like you said, but if I look up and out, I encounter people every day. Mm-hmm. And so how can I make a difference in their life, in their moment that I encounter them? And so I try to be attuned to that. Like, hey, these aren't by chance. They might be on purpose. And so I was recently in a small town in Louisiana, and we had just found a cool hotel that was like up and coming to stay at. We had never stayed there before. We had just stayed at a chain before. And so my teammate stayed there the week before. And so he's like, go get breakfast. It's great. Like, and we're so happy it's clean and lovely. And so I was like, great. And has a restaurant, you know? So I'm like, great, I'll go get breakfast. Yeah. And I'm the second person there. It's obviously empty. It's like, 6:30. So early. And we're about to go be with, leaders for the rest of the day and for the next couple of days. And so my mind's eye is I got to eat nutritious. I got to get protein. I got to get my body fueled to be able to stand up in front of people for the next couple of days and bring energy. And so the ordering's taking forever and there's nobody there. And so your first kind of sign is
nobody there, like no other guests.
Yes.
It's just
there's
you?
one person.
One person. Okay.
And nobody, but I can hear people chatting, like the staff there chatting. Okay. And so I can't lie and say that at first. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right. Like I've been here 10 minutes.
Irritated.
It's 6:30. I need a cup of coffee. Right. Like, come on.
Yeah, that happens.
And so I'm like, okay, I plan enough time. Like, I'm going to be okay. I'm looking at making sure I know what I want on the menu when they come. Like, I am ready for when this person comes to greet me to like pounce with my needs, And
I'll have this and this and this and the check as well.
And the check at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so she comes over and she's saying some, hi, and you can already tell something's happening for her. And I wouldn't have, if I didn't live in this posture, I don't think I would have noticed. I think I would have noticed what was happening to me. What was happening to me is my time crunch was happening. I was worried about me. I was worried about what I needed to do. And I think if I would have stayed in that mindset without doing this over years, it would have been easy to miss the moment.
And let me interject real quick in your story, because I think we talked about this on the last episode. Just the fact that we don't know what anyone else is going through.
At all.
Like, everybody's going through something.
Something.
Right? But usually we're all consumed with what's going on with us. So it is a total shift to really be finding that balance to other people. But go ahead.
And it's not to minimize your own stuff. Your own stuff you need to work on, work through, work with. But it's recognizing that your stuff isn't greater than somebody else's. Right. We're all just carrying a load.
Right.
And so I'm kind of watching, I order my things. I'm more gentle because I recognize something's going on for her. And she's apologizing but profusely apologizing for stuff that wasn't a big deal. Okay. So she comes back and I wish I could tell you remembered what question I asked her. I really don't. And I don't know in those moments that it matters. I think what matters is you just open the door for the conversation. And so we don't have to have the right words all the time. I don't, certainly. Right. So I open. Go ahead.
I'm going to interject again.
Go ahead.
So we have a mutual friend, John.
Yes.
And I've paraphrased this almost on every episode since.
Then it's a tradition.
He is talking about the fact when he thinks to shut up and love your neighbor, people want to be seen and known.
Absolutely.
And like, that's what you're in this moment of the story. That's what I'm feeling is you made her seen and known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And so I, again, don't know what I asked her, but it opened the door for her to say, I've just had a really hard morning. And that opened the door for me to say, why? Right. Tell me more. I want to hear more. Yeah. I mean, I now we're in the moment.
Right.
So don't let me shut it down.
We're
going all the way there.
Let's go.
And she starts saying that her husband passed away a couple months ago. And so I ask, is it expected? She's young, maybe my age. And no, it wasn't expected. He had an overdose. Okay. I'm so sorry. Just affirming people. Man, that's terrible.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Right. And then she's like, and she's working through sobriety. And you could tell she's fighting the hard battle of grief and sobriety at the same time. And so she tells me how long she's been sober. And all I could say was, congratulations.
Right.
Like, way to crush it. Yeah. Way to choose today. When today seemed like a hard choice, for what you're walking through. And so I just tried to, I didn't know her, but I did try to say to her what I think we should see in every human is you're fighting the hard fight and you're doing the right thing and you're making choices that are difficult and challenging. Like, stay the course. Stay the course. I don't know the battle you're fighting.
Right.
But just what you've told me it's a lot going on for you. And and that was kind of it. I mean, she's crying and I don't want to get her in trouble also. So I'm like cognizant of like, is there a manager around while I'm, this is going on in this interaction. And can I just tell you that I left that interaction going, well, that wasn't about the breakfast. It wasn't about the breakfast. Mm-hmm. The breakfast wasn't even that good. It wasn't. And I told my teammate that. I was like, why did you tell me to eat the breakfast? Don't recommend that
restaurant to anyone else, okay?
And I'd asked for the check when I ordered.
Right.
I really felt I was there for her. And I don't know her story. I never saw her again. I was there 2 nights. I used the hotel pad, but I thought about her all day, like through my meetings, through leading other people. I was like, there's some interactions like that where you're just like, that was bigger than me.
Right.
I was just some kind of encouragement tool.
But what if you weren't in a posture to be looking for those moments?
She
right? If
was
you
a
don't
hurting
practice
soul
that, right? That
we
you could have brushed right past.
Yeah.
And what if, and I don't want to over dramatize a serious moment, but what if, that moment had passed and she was this close to going over the edge and going to get a drink or what have you, but that engagement, that acknowledgement, that encouragement, that affirmation in that moment at that time was just what she needed to keep going.
I will have...
You know what I mean?
I'll have no idea.
Yeah.
I really won't.
No.
And we all don't. I think
But that's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
Right.
And I think what I would say about really loving other people and actually shutting up and loving your neighbor, like truly closing your mouth and opening your ears, is it takes time and it takes resources and it takes thought. And so I go back to the room that night. I use a pad of paper. They all give you free pads of paper. I use a pad of paper. I go to the front desk. I ask for an envelope. They don't have one, so I have to buy a postcard that comes with an envelope, which I still don't fully understand. Aren't they 2 separate mail USPS items?
I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize either, but...
I haven't purchased a postcard in a number of years, but...
Right, I did.
Okay.
I had purchased a postcard, and I wrote her a note, and I went to breakfast the next morning for the equally not good breakfast, but I chose differently.
Wow.
I did choose differently.
Your expectation was different the second day than the first day.
100%.
Yeah.
And I just sat there at the table and I wrote her a note. And I wrote her, again, what I saw in her, that the battle is worth it and the fight of life is worth it. And that she's seen and, that I've been thinking about her and just tried to leave some kind of encouragement. And I knew her name from the receipt. Well, she introduced herself and I remember people's names. I'm not great at it all the time, but I do really try. When people say their name and then someone says your name to you, like, hey, Dave.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, they know my name.
Yeah.
And so it was also on the receipt. So there's 2 ways to kind of validate the assumptions that you remember. And I wrote her a note and I left it with her coworker. She said, she's not here today. And I said, no problem. And she said, I'll seal it and put it back in the lockers. And so,
wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I don't like to repeat, stories on the podcast, which is completely opposite of how I live my life, where anyone that knows me would say he tells the same stories over and over again. But on the last episode, I talked about how Candy and I went to dinner.
Yep.
It was just the other night.
Okay.
Or a week ago, whatever it was. And at the table, when we got to the table, was not a birthday card, but a handwritten with lots of words note saying happy birthday, wish you this, this, and this, and this. So glad you're here, blah, blah, blah. And like 5 employees signed it. And
that's amazing.
Right? So, I mean, that is the kind of thing that makes people feel seen. Yeah. Right? To your point. What I'm curious, so, that's some people might call it a chance encounter. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily call it a chance encounter, but, you had that. It's not the 4-year neighbor on your street, right? It's a very quick interaction for all intent and purposes. I'm curious, when you come away with that or from that, what does that do to you? Like in your reflection, and as you've shared the story a few times over, and I think you posted on social media.
I did, yeah.
So clearly you have time to sit in it.
Yeah.
What does it do to you?
I think it ties back to some of the, right before I told the story, you talked about like lessons learned, your neighbor carrying it on forward, or the hardships that have come in loving people because we're messy. And so for me, what I come away with it is greater empathy. And I don't say it lightly because I started off trying to build community with probably a little judgment in my heart of when people didn't come. It's like, wow, you're too busy. Like, man, I went out on a limb and invited you.
Too good for us.
Yeah. And it's in the subconscious sometimes, maybe not sometimes, like just in full transparency. But on the journey, I've gained greater empathy because I'm learning people's stories. And so when you don't know people, you validate your own assumptions about them, which are most of the time not true. And sometimes they are, but most of the time they're not. And so what that's done for me is go, okay, she had something way greater going on in her life than that needed attention in the moment. And we've been in a season lately and that we've gotten invited a couple places and they're, like, hey, bring something to pass. And I'm in a season of tapped capacity. So I've just been showing up and I'm like, my gift is my presence.
Right.
Y'all.
I'm here.
And I'm here. And so, but I feel okay doing that because I know that we've built empathy and grace into the relationship. And I didn't have that in the beginning. That's been learned over time. Like when someone didn't bring something, it was like, man, I'm just going to provide everything. And sometimes there's just seasons of people's life. And the key is to meet them in that season. So I met that woman in her season. And I have been given the same kind of grace through friendships recently of that same season of just come. I'm inviting you because I want you. I'm not inviting you for the stuff you bring or the delicious dip you make. I just want your company. And I've also been vulnerable about it. Like, hey, I'm coming empty-handed, but I really believe you're going to love me anyway. And so that over the years what has taken place is that the recognizing that there's way more going on.
Right.
And how do you not get frustrated about that? How do you meet people there where they're at?
Yeah. I very much appreciate the conversation, of course. I'm going to ask you the quintessential question we asked at the end. And we've mostly talked about this, so this might be difficult to answer at this point. But when you think about shut up and love your neighbor, like just peeling back all the layers to what it is, what would you say it means to you and or for somebody hearing about it and maybe they like the phrase, it's, I like that shut up, or, maybe they're tuned up for whatever reason it resonates. Could be a variety of reasons. How can someone, start to embody that depending on what it means to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, it just means showing up, being available when possible, saying the yeses of getting out of the bed. I love that example of your friend. I mean, someone asked you to help them.
Right.
People in this world don't ask for help in that scenario. And so I'm like, wow, Candy was so right to say, go help them with the TV. But it's saying...
Candy's right often, let's be honest.
Yes.
All right.
It's saying the yeses at inconvenient times. And it's knowing that there could be a greater impact on the backside. It's not always possible. I don't want to say you can always put things to the side, but there are probably times that you've said no when you really could have said yes. Oh,
yeah. And I have shared that on this podcast before.
Yeah.
But I like that. So, embracing inconvenience.
That's
what I hear that. Embracing inconvenience. Awesome. Nicole, my friend, hold on one second, everybody. I made the mistake of finishing.
We're doing like a last
we're
sip.
We're gonna do the last sip. It's like the Last Supper, but not.
Okay.
So we like to tell people, shut up and love your neighbor. Cheers.